A show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This is The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards. I want to thank you so much for joining us for this edition. With me in studio is Paul on the ball, the man, Paul Hewlett. Welcome to the set. It's the season, and hence you are here. We would have seen the announcement that the Progressive Virgin Islands movement would have made in presenting you as a candidate for the upcoming general election here in the territory. And you are the man that is going up for PVIM in the District 4.
I most certainly am. I am going to be in District 4, your humble servant, and looking really forward to being in the Honorable House.
Okay. Well, this brings us to a place where many would be wondering, I know Paul, a sportsman, he's always on the ball. Where does Paul fit in this setting? Give us a little background to who Paul is, aside from that sportsman.
Right. So, really and truly, I've always been more political, Kathy, than I've been sports.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, I've always been very heavily a great thinker of politics. I've been very heavily attracted to politics. But I'm the kind of person, and as you know, I'm on the air a lot. Mm-hmm. If I'm on the air discussing sports, I discuss sports. I will not deviate to anything else. Mm-hmm. If I go on in a group or what have you, if I'm on a program and it's political, then I'll speak political. Mm-hmm. But I've never ever once in the 25, nearly 30 years I've been involved in public sporting facilities and sporting programs, ever discussed politics. Mm. But I have always been very political. Oh. My father was very political. My father was part of the United Party with Conrad Maduro. He helped Conrad campaign and he wrote the Constitution for the United Party. He also wrote the first Labor Code. So a lot of people don't know that. He was very involved with Noel Lloyd and the whole thing. He was a magistrate and ensured that Noel Lloyd didn't get sent to jail. My father has always spoken to me on a great deal from political standpoint, and has always encouraged me to get involved in politics. But I've always had a feeling, and my attitude has been, don't go anywhere where you're not invited. So I have been asked 3 times to run by different parties and different people, have turned it down. But this time, and you may have heard me say it before, on the 9th of the 6th, 2021, I made the decision. Now, the decision was actually in my head from the year before, during COVID, when we were in lockdown and I had a lot of time to think about it. But I made the decision. And on the 11th of the same month, I sat down and spoke with a gentleman from one of the parties who invited me in and put me into their chat room, and I was there ever since, until recently when they removed me. But outside of that, in other words, I didn't just make a decision 4 weeks ago and somebody asked me and I thought about it, people. I made a decision a couple of years ago that I had a responsibility to the people of this territory, of whom we love, of whom many of us claim to love, indigenous and otherwise. I made that decision, Kathy.
Why you made that decision? What was the deciding factor for you?
At the time, I just felt that enough wasn't happening. Listen, the small businessman has been suffering, and I've seen a progression. I remember when we were head to head with Turks and Caicos, when we were right up there with the Caymans, when we were, when you talk about powerhouses in the Caribbean, we were right up there. And I began to see us like other Caribbean islands that were very powerful in the 60s, when they tried to bring CARICOM and the whole Caribbean nation together. And many of those territories now, or those are big countries in fact, that were powerhouses in those days, took a nosedive because of greed and because of all these things that we are seeing now in the Virgin Islands. And I felt that if I didn't stop it, if I wasn't part of that group to put my foot on this, it's time to stop all this stuff that's going on. It's time for us to make a change and bring on people that not who say that they care, not people who crying and pretending to be Virgin Islands, to love the Virgin Islands, but people who genuinely want to see it. Not somebody who, when they get in there, they're concerned about their family and their friends, and it's only their people that you see getting all the jobs. You're sitting down there, the businessmen all in town sitting down, and they're concerned and worried because suddenly nobody's making any money. Listen, in the last couple of years, you go through Road Town on a Friday or a Saturday, it's like a ghost town. Any other Caribbean island you go through on Saturday and Sunday, it's bustling and hustling. The market and everywhere. You go to our market on a Saturday, it's like a joke now. But it's because of the way the small businessman has been treated, and because of the way the whole economy has turned, has been downsized. I mean, bringing these things where we're giving individual people lots of money, and some of them who shouldn't even have the money. I don't want to go any further than that.
No, I heard you.
They'll quote me.
I heard you.
You'll quote me. I won't give it a chance to quote me today. Not today. But you get the point that I'm making. You see where I'm going. That's the decision I made. That's our party talks about integrity, transparency, empowering people. Right? We talk about accountability, and we talk about inspiring young people. That is what we're all about. That's the reason why I got involved.
But you spoke of transparency just there, but just before that you held back from saying exactly what you feel and think. And when we look at persons for government office, that cries like, say what it is that you see and what you feel, because this is what we want to hear, and how you recommend that whatever error would have been made in your estimation, how you would seek to correct that or erase that wrong.
Well, certainly, I think the errors are clear. It's because, unfortunately for us, it has become not just a local error, it has become a regional and international error. So we've seen the errors, and we've felt the backlash from the errors. Even similar people trying to do orders or dealing with people overseas, we have now been tagged. We have now been, we've now been given names. Oh, you're from the Virgin Islands, right? So we've been tagged. So we see those errors. I think the important thing for us now is to begin to, as you say, start to look at how we're going to fix it. And for me, I don't want to try to fix everything. That's not my goal. I don't want to be the Minister of Finance. Leave that to Ronnie, right? I don't want to be the Minister of Health. Maybe leave that to Mitch, right? I don't want to be that minister. I want to be the Minister of Education or somewhere around education, because my background is in education. I did nearly 3 years of law. Right, a lot of people wouldn't know. I don't talk about it.
Tell us now.
Well, I did. It wasn't my favorite thing. My father was a barrister. My uncle was. They're all, they're all barristers. He was not only in the Supreme Court, but he was over the whole Eastern Caribbean. Who was Cecil Hewlett, my uncle. But for me, that wasn't my thing. I was just always a people's person, and I love sports, and so you kind of like, that is where you kind of deviate to. But I found that once I got involved in sports, I couldn't, two things that I'm going to watch for hours, politics and sports. and so I've always kind of kept the politics in, although I've been involved in politics at a very high level before. I've, generally speaking, kept it in. And but seeing the repetitiveness of individuals going in there and saying that they're here for change, and then over and over again I hear the same people saying, I'm tired of politicians, I'm tired, I don't want to vote anymore, I don't want to be involved in this thing anymore, just leave me alone. These are people that are hurting. These people are hurting, Kathy. They're in pain, because it's not that they don't want to vote, it's that they're so confused and they're so tired of individuals who they say, oh, that person doesn't really like people, and that person is so, but they run in. And they're the best of the worst, so I'll vote for them. And then they come in and they sting you, right? They drive past with their windows up and they're shaded things, and you don't see them, And people get frustrated with that. I want to have an office right in town in the 4th, where my building is, right in the middle of there. Where people can walk in and out. I'm on the athletics track every single day. I still plan to be on there 4 to 5 days a week, just even if it's for 10, 15 minutes. Some days I'm going to spend a couple of hours because I have athletes that I coach. I plan to continue coaching them. I plan to continue doing those things that I did. But at the same time, I know I have new commitments. I know I have a country to look out for. I know I have things that are very important. I know I have There are going to be things from cabinet and other things that we're going to have to begin to look at. You know, we're going to have to begin to look at the economy, how we can get money back into the small business. Because, Kathy, as you know, right, if there's no money going into the small businessman, no point giving a man a couple dollars, say, you're a fisherman, here's a couple dollars. That's nonsense. You've got to begin to find ways to generate business for the small businessman. So you open up the airport, you develop it, you have bigger planes coming in, you have hotels being built. These are the sort of things you've got to start doing, Kathy, so people can begin to get real money going back into them. You have genuine investments, not false investments where you're saying, give me peace. Genuine investments, so that the economy begins to build, the small businessman. And when the small businessman begins to do well, Kathy, everybody does well. Let me tell you what happens when the small businessman isn't doing well. Crime rises. And suddenly you're hearing this person, that person, and then all of a sudden, when it starts to get worse, and you suddenly have shootings here, there, and everywhere. And that's what happens when any political party, whether it's mine or yours or anybody else's, when they are not doing what they're supposed to do, young people become frustrated. The same ones that we blame and point our fingers at, they become frustrated and they begin to do what they think is right. They take the law into their own hands and begin to do their own things because we haven't done what is the right thing to do, right? Suddenly words like nepotism and all things become it always becomes big when things aren't going right. Because then you start to pick at the little things. You know, you what do you call it? Nitpick. Those little things become big issues now. Because people that had money in their pocket before don't have any money anymore. Right? The young fella that used to be able to maybe wash a car or do whatever he used to do, you know, nobody taking their car to washing what they can't afford the $20. People won't even go to the barber to cut their hair. They buy a shave and cut it at home themselves. So that not even a barber can make any money. The small businessman is struggling and everybody walking around trying to smile, but they're in pain.
You said you're eyeing the Ministry of Education.
Certainly I am.
To become the Minister of Education.
I would love to.
So,
if Ronnie allows me.
You're going into the future, huh? But
I always do.
Okay.
No point.
You talk a lot about being qualified in the sporting arena. Yes, you said you have a little bit of background in education based on...
I didn't say that a little bit. I have a lot of education.
Sorry, my apology. You have some education in the area of the academics area.
I do.
But tell us why you see yourself fit to handle the general education of this territory as opposed to sports and culture, let's say?
Well, if sports and culture was a separate department, if it was on its own, as a ministry of its own, then I would certainly jump at sports. But in our territory, it's education and sports as one. It's the Ministry of Education, of which sports is a part of. That being the case, I have no problem also embracing education because I feel that our curriculum is in such a state it needs to be revamped. For years now, our education system has been revamped, and I know what is required to have it revamped. Right? There's a lot of serious things. I've said it for years. I think our days are too long. I think our periods are too long for the kids. After 30 minutes, a kid's bum goes numb. Right? If they need double periods, if they're doing labs or what have you, then you give them double periods. All right? So there are a lot of things that need to happen, extracurricular activities that need to become as part of the curriculum. Right? Sports being part of the curriculum for school. Right? Proper house games. The PE teachers, they need to be under the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports and to be controlled by them and to be run by them. Right? There are a lot of things that needs to be happening in education. Kathy, I'm aware of everything that needs to be done. I could run education now, I could be the CEO.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying? I understand what is required for education. I understand teachers, and many of them are going to cry and complain because no teacher wants extra work. Let me tell you from now, right? But the reality is, when we have a school education where you are handpicking who is taking CXC exams because you are more worried about the statistics rather than every single child, that's a reflection on the overall curriculum of the school. Every single child must have the opportunity to take those overseas examinations at some level. Not you handpicking some and then the rest of them end up getting thrown in a corner over there. Okay, and then let's do whatever. Let's create other things for them to do. They're not really academic. Listen, There are a lot of people who don't appear to be academic now, who down the road are huge at university, you know, right? And some of these kids, the academic that you are perceiving them to be, it's a different type of academics that they're going to be good at. But they almost have that ability and the opportunity to take the exams. Every single child must have the opportunity. Not the ones that you think are the only ones that are going to pass, so it gives you a high percentage pass, and you look like the greatest teacher that ever lived.
Okay.
Not that.
I hear you.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
Good.
So let's go into the district. You're running
the fourth.
The fourth. You run in the fourth. A very interesting district, a very large district, a very central district. Coming off the heels of persons who would have been there for quite some time. Though we would have had some drama ins and outs with that district.
GM,
but, yes,
Mark.
yes. So.
Yeah.
What do you see as the major hurdles that you have to cross in making sure that District 4, the capital of Tortola, and if you dare say the capital of the Virgin Islands, is taken care of with the highest degree of respect? Yes.
Well, I personally don't have any hurdles. I don't like hurdles sound to be like a negative word, but I understand the point you're making, so don't correct yourself. I understand what you're saying. So the fourth, as Kathy has said, is a very strategic area in our community. First of all, let me just say, Kathy, that I have spent most of my life in the fourth. All my childhood was in the fourth. My sister was born in the fourth. I grew up in the fourth. Right? I had Miss Douglas across the road to my left, who I used to, because I was with Alec and Robert and Roger, the McTavises. I lived in their house with their grandmother. We used to go downstairs and watch and talk to Granny, right, down there. The Brewleys were opposite to me, the Hodges, Elinette, who I grew up with as well. So those are all my neighbors, right? So I know that area. That was my life. That's the way I remember Christmas and New Year's and everything. Right? Outside of us going down as teenagers down to the pub, which is still in the fort, and hanging out in that area. That's where I spent my junior life. So I understand the dynamics of the fourth, first of all, and the people of the fourth. But more importantly, in the fourth, as you know, is Elmore Stout High School, which was BVI High School, which I attended and graduated from, right? Also, when I was a young man, by the way, it was also the primary school was also there. And I also attended the BVI primary school, which is now Alcius Catliff. We won't talk about that now because it's been moved. I'm not going to get into that politics, right? But so the school is there. But not only is the school there, but what is now the A.O. Shirley ground, as we all know, A.O. Shirley put soil into the swamp little area there so that it became a full field, right? So well, the older folks would know that, the younger ones would not know that it's actually the soil of A.O. Shirley that we all play different sports on. It is now an athletics track, right? That whole facility needs to be sorted out, right? The Athletics Association and the coaching of all of that, the assistance to coaches needs to be sorted out. You know, we talk about every year politicians show up, right? Right after the Crifter Games, it's like a drum roll, photographs, music, the whole works. But through the whole season, I spent the last 3 years working with athletes there. Let me tell you something. The coaches struggle. The coaches who don't even, some of them don't even work, go into their pocket to take care of the kids. It is like a nightmare. And they get literally no help, very, very little help, only from the Olympic Committee, right? Give them one little stipend. These people need a regular stipend month after month because it is a full-time job. If you're looking for athletes to compete against the Jamaicans and the Trinidadians and the Guyanese and all the big countries, we have to support them. And many of these athletes, you know, like Kyron, go on to the bigger stage. So we have to support them. So that in itself is a whole job. But across to the left is the multi-purpose sports complex. And when Ralph O'Neill asked me personally what I thought about the complex, I told him break down Sabrekiff Hall and put the complex to the left. But the election was called. The then VIP didn't win the election. And the new party that came in decided that they were going to put the complex on the field of which at the time cricket was played. And I had just had a Buster Cup there. We had 5,000 people a day at that Buster Cup, by the way, right? We flew from one top of the Caribbean to the bottom of the Caribbean and had people come from every island. I had Joel Garner I had Reds Pereira. I had, you know, some of them don't know what I'm talking about. I had all the big name. I had Desmond Haynes called me on my cell phone. We want to come. We want to come. We're hearing about this big match, Leavers versus Winmers in the Caribbean. Who put this whole thing together? It was the largest cricket match, regional cricket match ever held in the Caribbean. By the way, 5,000 people a day for 4 days. $150,000 made at the gate at $5 a head. Do the maths. All right? So that is the Aosheli ground, that is the complex. But here's the deal. The complex was already put there. Let's not be a spoiled whatever. Fine has been put there. So look at the Breakcliff Hall now. What I spoke about and recommended years ago should be broken down. What is it now? So, Miss P is going to love this. My recommendation is this. See that whole area there, right there where the scouts are, and poor Miss P has a little building there which she can't even get windows in? That whole area there needs to become a cultural area. Let me explain something to you. We have tourists that come into this place every single day. And when you go to some of the other Caribbean islands, it is beautiful. I have tourists that come to me on a daily basis asking to see the botanical gardens. Sometimes I don't even want to show them where it is, because the botanical gardens needs an overhaul. Right? If we fix up the cultural area, start to fix up roads in Road Town, right? Put some nice bike pathways, you know, beautify the town. When the tourists come, they wouldn't want to leave. Then what we do is we fix our airport, we build a whole massive hotel, not just Maria's by the Sea. We build hotels all over town, Eastern and these places, and tourists spend a week and 2 weeks here. That is revenue for the British Virgin Islands. That is showing love for a country that you lived in all your life and that you care about. And I've lived here all my life. I have children and grandchildren in this country. I have property here. I have everything. I have nowhere else to go, Kathy. As they say, only place from here is 6 foot down in the ground. So does that explain enough? Do I need to talk more? I can go more if you want me to.
Well, we need to hear your heart, so that's why I'm allowing you.
Am I speaking from the heart?
Well, I hope it is.
There you go. I'm not trying to be fake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying not to be fake. I'm trying to be real with the people here. This is something I've been preaching, not for this year or last year. If you listen to me on my talk shows on a Saturday, right, with my Paul on the Ball talk show, which I then handed over to Pico, this is what we've always spoken about. We speak about things like the horse track. Can you believe the audacity of Christmas coming and Boxing Day and there's no horse racing? Because a bunch of guys couldn't come together and sit down and make a decision for the people of this territory to ensure that we have horse racing. That is unacceptable, and it has to be fixed. Horse racing, we're talking, I remember, I know I'll call his name, a previous politician was trying to make a big scene to say, oh, what is the national sport of the Virgin Islands? Well, let me tell you something. Like it or not, the national sport in this country is horse racing. That's where everybody goes.
As opposed to baseball,
as opposed to whatever else.
Softball?
As opposed to whatever else. I'm telling you, when it comes to certain times of the year, everybody wants to go to horse racing. And when you don't have it, that's when you're now creating that vacuum for crime and other things to happen.
What is the fix to that situation?
What is the fix?
Yes.
Right after the election, if you finish voting for me, you'll see the fix.
No, but I could only vote for you if you tell me what you're going to do.
Well, we're going to fix it. We're going to ensure that this horse track never closes again. The horse track has 3 different owners.
Okay.
So we need to fix it.
What about suggestions that we've been hearing toiling around to put it elsewhere, make it find lands that are 100% owned by government?
So now you're agreeing with me. We either sit down.
I'm asking you a question.
I'm telling the people, we either sit down and come to a decision immediately, right? Because that's what's going to happen. And we will speak to the people concerned and we make a decision. Or we leave it and we build a new track.
Okay.
Either way, if we leave it and build a new track, the people that were there right now are not going to benefit anyway, because it's not going to just be land. Right? Nobody's going there anymore. Now the attraction for the people that own it is that there's thousands of people going there when it's run correctly, literally every month. So some of them have the whole place blocked out and they have parking and all kind of stuff. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
Right. If we move, all that excitement is over. Now they have to put their money where their mouth is and spend their own money to build it up.
Paul, let's take a quick look at the youth. We were just on the crunch time now to wind down on
time
this.
does go when you're having fun.
Yes, whether you be an at-large candidate or a representative or a district representative, one thing that you always hear come up before you is the engagement of youths, employment for youths. What is that plan you have for the youths of District 4?
Well, Kathy, as you know, the 4th district has so many facets in it. There's the cultural, there's the complex, the multipurpose sports complex. There's the A.O. Shirley ground, you know. There's the Elmo Stott High School. There's so many aspects that we have that we can really get to engage youngsters. But what we have to start to look at is development. I think we have to look at combining a lot of these departments, like youth affairs and sports, maybe combining them with another department. Also the P teachers, maybe pulling them together as one. So we have a bit more, I don't want to control might sound like a bad word, but we can be more hands-on there with what is happening as far as the development of the youth. When we look also at the curriculum, we can then begin to have a further look, maybe have more extracurricular activities involved for the youth. Get sports more involved in the school curriculum. So there's house games. If we were, for instance, to take an hour off of each period during the day, that means the kids can spend a little less time sitting down in a class period, because I feel the periods are too long. But that extra time, that gives us an extra hour in the afternoon. That's extracurricular activities that we could then have house games during school time. We can have guitar, we can have singing, glee club, you can put steel band, all these things. And now if we develop the cultural center, which is where the Subbreaking Hall used to be, we can literally take the kids from there and take them down to the culture and do everything down there culturally, right? Because the bottom line is that if we don't find things for the young people to do, they will find things themselves to do. So we have to begin to create all these different areas, these different avenues for young people to be able to be constructive, because it's not good enough to complain that the young people this and the young people that. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear, what are we doing for the young people to ensure that they can become a productive person in our society.
Okay, Paul, on the ball with what he has
When I'm on
to
the
say.
ball, I better be on the ball. Will you be on the ball too? I'm in the 4th. I'll be expecting your support. I love you guys. And listen, like I said, my office is going to be right there in the 4th where my building is. I'm going to get the job done. I'll be there. If you can't find me there, I'll be at the A.O. Shirley Recreation Grounds literally every day. I'm an easy person to find. I'm very approachable. I love everybody. Even when I go to the supermarket, if somebody short, I give them a couple of dollars. You know, I'm Black Boy, Lorenzo Jennings. I never pass without dropping something to give Lorenzo or anybody else that's out there, because I believe that's what it's all about. I don't judge people for what happened. I see where somebody is at and I help them, and that's what the country needs right now. That's what the small businessman needs right now. They need help. They're crying out for help. And all the small talk and the nice things, and then you drive down your car, the windows up. We have to stop that. Let's get to the people. Let's get ground zero. Let's get into the trenches and begin to help the people. I love you. I'm Paul on the ball. It's 4 for all in the 4th.
All right. Well, you heard it from the man himself, Paul on the ball. He is a candidate for District 4 in the upcoming general elections here in the territory. Paul, thank you so much. I know the season now starts, so the conversation now starts, and I know we'll see you again.
I hope so.
Well, it's all up to you. The platform is open for you.
Done deal.
You and your team. So I want to thank you so much for joining us for this edition of The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards.